Welcome to Faith, Family, and Fitness in your 50s. I have my guest, my husband Lee Brown, with us
Hello.
today, and we are 1 week away from our 27th anniversary. And so, as I was driving to work, I was thinking, what would be a really good inaugural question for our very first podcast? And it came to my mind that nowadays people are like, oh, you complete me. Oh, we're 50-50. You give me your 50, I'll give you my 50, and we'll make
Right.
100. And those were things that we also heard when we were about to get married. So I guess the question is, how did that kind of thinking affect you as a young groomsman or groom?
Um, Thinking about it then, I definitely look at it differently now. Thinking about it then, it made sense. My 50 plus your 50 equals 100, but it truly doesn't. I think basically it's a selfish type of 50-50 because it's like I'm gonna give you 50% of me and I'm gonna save 50% of myself. So I'm never giving you 100%. And I think it showed earlier on in our marriage with our struggles, that concept of I'm only giving 50. And yeah, I would definitely recommend giving 100 of your commitment, 100% of your time, 100% of your yourself to your spouse in order to make it work. Because 50-50 just doesn't equate to a successful marriage.
I like how you broke that down. 50% went to you, part of anything, because they don't want to give themselves wholeheartedly to somebody.
Right.
So when you think of um, identity and in your 20s, because we're in our 50s now, do you think 20-year-olds who are getting married or even 30-year-olds that are getting married, how does identity play into starting a marriage, starting a lifelong commitment with someone?
Well, I think you definitely have to have an identity in Christ and who you are, because I think that's one of the biggest failures in marriage, where you have these young couples, and oftentimes you hear even in difference and arguments, or I don't know who I am. I need to find myself. And I think that's because you come into the marriage not knowing who you are in Christ and not having an identity. And all of a sudden, when you realize you're 50, your 50% commitment to the marriage isn't working. You want to just separate from it, because I think oftentimes we feel, well, it's not me, it's you, and I need to go find myself, um, and divorce and find a new spouse, and here we go again. Same person, marriage number two, same sets of problems, same set of issues, and so again, I think you have to know whose you are. And I think now in our marriage, I think we struggled with that. I think we were trying to blend our upbringings together. Um, but I think it was forcefully like, my parents did this way, this is how we're going to do it. And you were like, nope, we did it this way. But I think young couples have to find their own niche. They have to find what works for them. They take a blend of each other's upbringing and they make it work for the good. And again, yeah,
And I think that saying that you complete me, that means you're coming in at a deficit.
yeah,
And so you already have the feeling that you're not a whole person,
right,
instead of two whole people coming together and
right,
making a blend to be even more than 100%. Because if
right.
you're giving 100% and your spouse is giving 100%, that's
200,
200%.
right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, you can't go into a marriage with this person completes me, because yeah, like you said, you have to come in. If you're actually entering a marriage and you're saying that person completes you, you're definitely using the 50% model, because you need that other person to add their 50 to make 100, but again, it's still not a full commitment. You have not given 100%. And I remember early in our marriage, just the challenge of to hearing you say, um, you love God first. Or I forgot how you stated it, but you didn't need me because you had God, and I just not understanding that concept. I felt so hurt by that, but now that's kind of what I live by, and it's just so much healthier for us because putting everything, all your trust, everything into this person, and once you fell or let me down, oh, that is it. But when you have God being that individual in your life that you give everything to, not to saying that I did not share everything with you, just a different concept of God is my first, and you are the most important thing to me on this earth, but God is my number one, and it took me years to understand that concept. So honey, I do finally agree with you on
And I
that.
think that came the hard way because I had to learn the hard way because I didn't have my own identity set. So I was looking for you to fill in those places of security. I need you to be my protector. I need you to be my provider. I need you to be the person that lifts me up when I'm down, and to make me feel a certain way
Right.
when in actuality, I'm requiring from you something only God can
Mm-hmm.
do. And
Right.
so I think young couples get that mixed up. They're looking for a person to fulfill something that only God, and it puts an undue pressure on the other person. So here you are turning all of your wheels to try and please me, and I'm like, no, that doesn't work. Nope, that
Right.
doesn't work. Nope, that doesn't work, because we're asking imperfect people
Right.
to do a perfect job.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't complete that task list, and I was ill equipped. You know, have my own issues that I was trying to navigate through. I was still extremely immature. I did not have the life experiences that you had. You know, I was raised in a home where I was spoiled, and I think when you found out my parents sent me $200 every 2 weeks, you're like, what? And oftentimes it was way more than that. But again, I was so young, and then almost a year, maybe a year and a half year later, we're married, and now I'm expected to be all of these things for you, and I was just so ill equipped. I was so immature. I mean, let's argue that way. I can just go play a video game uninterrupted. So, oh, fine, she's not talking to me. Great, it's napping time. So now I'm giving away my secrets. Pick a fight on purpose. So,
No, I think what you're saying is right on, because I think young couples think I need to be at this point where these people are,
right.
without realizing that we have put in, I don't know, 20, we've been married 27 years come
Right.
next week. We probably put in 20 years
Mm-hmm.
of really, really hard work and learning by failure.
Right.
And so it's okay to be where you are right now, knowing that number one, your identity needs to be in Christ,
Absolutely.
not in being a wife or not in being a mother. And we'll talk about that more next week, how sometimes we idolize each other,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes we idolize our children, and how that hurts a marriage.
Right.
And how that hurts your children as well.
Absolutely. And I'll just end by saying this. I think our marriage began to blossom and grow when we both aligned and we both made Christ our number one. When I had you number one and Christ second or third or fourth, it didn't work because, again, it only took one disagreement, one thing that was unsettling that you did or said, and it would just all unravel. I'll forget it. I don't care. I'm not, whatever. Do what you want. I'm going to do what I want. But it's very difficult to do that when God is the head, and and you have that Bible as the blueprint of how to deal with conflict, how to deal with disagreements, and don't let your head hit the pillow at night with being angry. So I wouldn't say. Well, I guess I would say in the beginning it was forced. I was forced to reconcile with you, but now it's just a natural thing, and The beauty of that is 27 years later, I cannot remember the last time we've had an argument. And I mean, we may have a little disagreement here and there, but just like you just laughed, that's what I think. Oh no, the other day we did. And you were in the room and we started laughing because I sent you like a frowny face emoji or something. So, anyways, our fights last maybe 2 minutes now, and it's like not days or weeks like it used to, 10, 15 years ago. So,
Well, we hope you enjoyed the first inaugural podcast, and we're going to come back talking about family and faith and fitness in our 50s. Until then,
God bless and take care.